all is well, I should say. The suspension and everything. We went up to a friend's wedding on the weekend. Done about probably 250 miles, probably more than that actually. So yeah, the car was it was really nice. I got it up four-wheel alignment done. That was 72 quid, including the VAT. The judder in the steering wheel, I don't think I've mentioned that before. I think that was the track rod ends possibly. When you hit like a bump in the road, there would be a bit of a judder like this, sort of left to right. The steering wheel would just oscillate slightly, and that seems to have gone away, or certainly is almost completely gone away. I think that was probably due to the track roads just being a bit worn. But yeah, the braking is a lot smoother. I think that's due to the fact that it's got new discs. Before there was a bit of a pulse on the brake, it would sort of be on and off a bit. I guess it's where it was hitting those like rusty spots on the disc where the pads have been sat, where it was parked up for a long time. Anyway, so I'm going to do these valley pipes now. Fingers crossed, he says, with a great deal of confidence. So I've whipped off the front cover. I don't think I'll need to get that off, but I've took it off anyway. Just about to take the cowl off, what they call a spot of WD-40 along there, just to loosen it up a little bit. Just let it run down the gap there, just to help ease the removal a little bit. Just basically get the pry bar, just give it a bit of a twist. There we go, just to start it off. And try to actually film some of what I'm doing. A little bit of a twisting action. Perpendicular to the screen. There we go, bloody beautiful. Worrying, isn't it? Because the plastic's on 20 years old, it's all been baked to death. Don't want to yank on it and break anything. I don't know how many lights I've got. Still can't see anything. I have a light pointing out of each one of my eyeballs. I still can't see. Let's pop that on there like that. As it does so. Oh, that's better. Oh yeah, that's the earth point they're on about. Keep hearing about cleaning the earth points behind the headlights. So that's them, presumably. Well, that's definitely an earth point. Is there on that side? Yes, there is. So I'll do those when I've got the chance. Is there like gooey sludge in there? That is quite interesting. I think that's the way you bleed the system. So I wonder if it's just sort of, that isn't fucking very good, is it? I'm not very pleased about that. Using the internet. Basically, what I'm going to say is, because I knew this would happen, right? I wrote down the procedure, or at least the order, what of things to remove. So this is, I've done some of these already. So air filter, inlet pipe, coolant tank, heater hoses, intercooler hoses, water hoses, water rail, which I presume is the, you know, the whole water thermostat assembly thing. Supercharger belt, idler pulley, accessory belt, tensioners, and I'm guessing some of these are the ones with question marks, are ones that I'm not sure I need to do, because the guy who was doing it, who's a mechanic, he was going to replace the front cover seal as well, so I'm not doing that. Anyway, so water pump, wipers, plenum cover, diagonal braces, false firewall, cabin filter and housing, supercharger outlet, throttle body, wiring harness, intake air temperature sensor, vacuum pipes, EGR valve, supercharger inlet to get to the rear bolt, remove the supercharger. So there's quite a lot of stuff to do there. So I'm going to start by, I'm going to work my way down this list. I'm going to tick off things that I've already done. I've done that. I've done that. So the next thing to do is the coolant tank. So I'll start with that. And I need to drain the coolant as well, really, don't I? So, right, back. This is, I've got a few hours this morning, it's wet. And I'm supposed to be gardening today, but it's just not going to happen. So I've got a little bit of time this morning before I've got an appointment around midday. Now, I've got the online book, not online, the PDF file, which is enormous, and I've mentioned it before. I don't know if I made it into the edit, but so enormous, it's almost worthless, because it's very difficult to find and follow the relevant information through the file. So it's a 6,300 page folder, and also these links don't work. So if you want to, I've searched here, remove the supercharger, and it's come up with 23 results. Through the results, and then you get stuff like that: remove the supercharger, belt tensioner, remove the supercharger, You go through them all. Charge air cooler, removal. Step 1, remove the supercharger. Knock sensor. Step 1, remove the supercharger. And then it says for additional information refer to, and there's no reference. Then you go through more and more, and then you get round back to the start again. Remove the supercharger. Then it says, so remove the supercharger drive belt, and you can see there just 303.05. So you think, well, is that page 303? So let's go to page 303. 303. Can't remember what page this is now. Nothing to do with it. It's suspension work, that is. So anyone can tell me how, for instance, if I wanted to skip to this section, how do I do that? Otherwise, I can't use this book. It's when the information's there, but it's finding the information. And then it's a bit like the old Haynes manuals, where you wanted to like do the head gasket on a car, for instance, and it'd say, you know, disconnect the battery, you know, remove the airbox, remove the throttle body. If there was a complicated like little program of events that you had to carry out to do a job at a time. See chapter 6, then you flick to chapter 6 and it shows you, and it's a bit like that, but it's just so overwhelmingly detailed and massive. Anyway, so I'm kind of giving up on this whole thing. But I never forget the time my mum and dad's house when I was a young lad. Well, 19 or something. We were having a party or something. And there was a downstairs loo, and I went in the loo, and it was like I needed a wee. It was like that, basically, for about a minute. And when I came out, my dad went, "Try not to sound quite like a hose pipe into a bucket next time, Michael." So I've got the pipe work off, the water pump, the thermostat. I've ordered a few more parts, seals and stuff like that. The stumbling block, I think that it seems to be quite a common stumbling block for people, is this, what they call secondary bulkhead or false bulkhead, which really is kind of completely obscuring the throttle body, the supercharger inlet elbow, and the back of the supercharger where the bolt is at that end. There's one bolt that end apparently. So I've been reading up on the forums, and I've kept the pages open this time. I've emailed them to myself. So on the Jaguar forum, jaguarforums.com, there's a thread called secondary bulkhead centre panel removal, and there's some quite interesting photos on there, useful advice. He's basically saying, this one guy says he cut the insulation where you get down to a certain point. It's the silver backed heat insulation. It's like an acoustic and a thermal insulation. So that's where I'm at basically. So I'm working my way through removing the insulation off that panel, and I've ordered some sort of self-adhesive padded silver backed stuff. So when it comes time to reassemble, I'll clean all this plastic up with it off the car, obviously, and then adhere the new stuff to that, leaving spaces around the fixing points, so it's easier to get on and off in the future. Anyway, looks like this, I think pretty much sure that this has to come off to get it out of the way of the centre bulkhead, and ditto this as well, which is well fixed in. Making some progress. So this, I mean, I keep getting distracted by stuff, but this side has come off now, so just for sake of documenting the job, so there's 2 bolts down, this belongs down here like that, roughly there. There's a bolt there, 8mm heads. There was a pin, one of those plastic panel clips there, and there was 2 down here, one there and one there, right down out of sight. Real fiddly to get to, but I'm sure they will seem easy in comparison to the ones that are down there. which I know there are some. In fact, I can see one of those, what do they call them, push clip fucking things that you can't get off. Okay, so this is the passenger side on a British car, right-hand drive car. So you've got your pollen filter panel comes off there. There's a 10mm nut there, and there's one on the other side. That's actually sort of halfway out now, to be honest. And that sort of wriggles out. And then this whole section was full of like bits of leaves and God knows what else, like brown crap leaves and I don't even know what. And then there's a couple more. Well, these bottom nuts hold that in place, and then it's just sort of stuck with this like foam tape. So that then wriggles out. This is going to be fun to put back together, isn't it? Now I've sliced through the insulation just above that foil, and look, you can see there's one of those spin washer springy doobies. There was one there that I removed yesterday, but I didn't need to remove that, so I'll be putting that back on. And then it looks as though it's possible that there's maybe one more holding that on. It's really hard to say. So I'm going to try. I'll get that spinny off. I'll just stuck the probe in there to get a proper close look, but I can't really do it with this phone. Turn the stand around to try and poke it under there, but so we've got one more. Let's really get the light in there as well. We've got one sort of there, and one there, right behind that pipe. So I'll be a combination of hoovering, scraping with a pick, pulling it out with my fingers, and just generally scrabbling and doing the best I can. I've almost got all the insulation off. I've got two more of those, well, I say two more clips. There's two more places where it's clipped. Each place has two clips on the thread. The stud coming out of the thing. Right, I've undone those two that I just showed you, and there is one more. Save me from this nightmare. Right, there's one more. Don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. I'm trying to get my light in there. I'll get the probe in a minute and stick it in. It's just down there. There you go. So I've been reading on, this job. Book time is 6.5 hours. Read on that forum that I was mentioned earlier on, he says I got it ready to reassemble in 5 hours. Bullshit. That's basically, that is bullshit. So this, I don't know what time it is now, but I've been on this job now. I did 3 hours on it yesterday. I've spent 3 hours on it today. I've probably spent a couple of hours on it the day before that. So it's 8 hours so far. I'm not the fastest, I don't know my way around the car. I've never done this before, but I've done plenty of work on cars before. And I'm not a mechanic. But it's just, if you show me how to undo those fixings in less than half an hour. I'll give you £100. Right? It's not possible. It's a slow and painful process of reaching in there with the right tool and painstakingly turning the thing fraction by fraction until it comes off. I have eventually, the last one, I'll give it a good tug, try with a pick, you know, and I've used a few different tools. I've even got a bit of brake pipe and cut it down so I can use that as a tool as well. Yeah, lies.
Oh, lies!
I think I've undone it. I used a very long screwdriver. I don't know how I'm going to get this back together, to be honest. I am thinking about just leaving this thing off, but it kind of forms the cowl for the drain and everything, the air intake and I don't really want to. There's no way I'm going to get that back in there. And please, for God's sake, tell me that there isn't another one of those things involved in this lot. So that's like hooked over the back of that matrix pipe. I might have to just trim it down a bit to get it back in easier. There we go. Well, I've removed the plenum. I've removed the supercharger 2 intercooler section. I'm not sure what that's called. Let's tick off some things because that makes me feel good. Supercharger belt. Saying that's done. Idler pulley. No, not really. Bless you. Accessory belt. I'm not sure if I need to do that. I'm gonna leave it. Tensioners, same. Oil cooler hoses. Don't think I need to do those. Water pump. I'm gonna leave that. Have been looking at the radiator thinking looks a bit crusty in places, to be honest. Look at all that crap down there. Wouldn't hurt to put a new radiator in when I've got the opportunity. Anyway, it's the cost at the moment. Wipe, false firewall, big tick. Cabin filter, housing, tick. Supercharger outlet, throttle body, that's where I'm at the minute. Wiring harness, sensor, vacuum pipes, EGR valve. Right, I've done quite a lot today. 7 hours. I got the what's that? That's the throttle body. Got the throttle body off, and then couldn't see the bolts for the nuts. So basically there's 4 bolts in there, right on the top there, plain as day. Couldn't see them.